Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting on Tuesday, the 27th of January 2026. Welcome to councillors and to staff and those joining online, those in the public gallery. Please note today's meeting is being live streamed and can be viewed by the general public via Council's Facebook page and later uploaded to Council's website. By participating in and addressing those present at the meeting, you consent to any information you disclose, including any personal information or sensitive information being recorded or uploaded to the website. I'm now through to Councillor Murray to read our opening statement.
Through you, Mayor. As councillors, we recognise the responsibilities we carry and are guided by the values of service, respect and integrity. Good decision-making requires transparency, accountability and behaviours that uphold the trust placed in us as elected representatives of the community we serve.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Now we'll read the acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the Kira people as the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and we pay our respects to their elders, past and present. We acknowledge and we extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, people who are here today or viewing online. And before we start the formalities, I just wanted to do a shout out to our CFA volunteers across our neighbours, but also across the region and the state. It's been a really tricky year tricky summer so far for many people across the state, and where our hearts and thoughts are with those that are struggling with the fires at the moment, particularly our neighbours and our close neighbours. Also want to mention about the heat today. It's looking like a possible reaching a high of 47 in Mortlake, which is, I've never heard it getting that hot. So it's, we hear that phrase a lot, but unprecedented. Climate's a bit all over the place at the moment. So we just want to, make sure people are looking after each other, checking in on people. That's a really, really difficult heat to manage. And so thank you to the staff that are, managing to keep essential services and things like that open during this, really difficult kind of heat. And again, that shout out to our neighbours and the difficult time that they're going through. Any apologies today? We have none. Thank you, Devastating. And any conflict of interest? That's Murray.
Through you, Mayor, if I may, I would just like to make a brief statement regarding my position relating to agenda items 2.1 and 2.2 of today's agenda, which both relate to the Port Fairy pool facility. As our community is likely aware, I previously declared a conflict of interest in relation to Belfast Aquatics Committee of Management due to my family connections to the former Committee of Management. Since the 16th of January, when the Belfast Aquatics lease expired and the pool facility officially became a council-owned asset, my understanding is that today's agenda items focus on the future of the facility as a council asset and do not directly concern the former committee. On that basis, I wouldn't consider my declared conflict to apply. However, in discussions with our governance team, they've recommended a cautious approach due to ongoing legal matters related to this transition. And in addition to that, I have been absent from workshop discussions and briefings that have led to the development of both of these reports. This means I haven't had the same level of exposure to the information, context or preparation as other councillors. So taking both of those factors into account, and while I await further personal legal advice, I believe the appropriate course of action today is to declare a conflict of interest in relation to items 2.1 and 2.2. So I will remove myself from the room for the discussions and won't participate in decision making.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Noted. We will now move on to the confirmation of minutes from the Ordinary Council meeting on the 16th of December 2025. Any questions, councillors? Questions? Does anyone wish to move the office recommendation? Councillor. And a second of. So I'll start. So I now ask the mover, Councillor Taylor.
Oh, no. Nothing from me.
Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? No, and move it to sum up. That's what they are. Now put the item to the vote. Those in favour? Is carried 7. There being no public petition, there being no public participants at today's meetings, we'll move to the officer reports item. Oh, thank you, Murray, here to leave the room. Thank you. Left the chamber. Item 2.1, petition to save our pool and call on council to work with our communities to secure $2 million needed. It's our Director of Assets and Community, Mr. Arnott. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you. At the December 2025 Ordinary Council meeting, Council resolved to receive the submission of a petition titled Save Our Pool, call on Council to work with our community to secure the $2 million needed, received for December 2025. Since the receipt of the petition, Council officers, including CEO and Mayor Jordan Lockett, met with community representatives on Monday, 22nd December 2025. The meeting provided an opportunity for Council to hear community perspectives and to confirm a commitment to continue community engagement, including by way of meeting again in late January 2026, after the end date of the lease overholding, which concluded 16 January. A number of councillors and the CEO also attended the rally conducted by community in early January, and the Moyne Aquatic Facilities strategy has also commenced, with community consultation sought through a public survey, which opens on February 2, and a number of on-site Have Your Say sessions, which are being held in early February. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnott. Questions, councillors? Councillor Ross.
Is that community representatives, is that a new body, formed body with any charitable status, or it's just members of the community?
Through the Mayor, not to my knowledge, that is not the case, that they are representatives of the Community Save Our Pool group. However, I'm not aware that they are a registered any.
Yes, it's Save Our Pool group.
I believe that, yes.
And are they looking to continue as a committee moving forward?
Through the Mayor, I'm not aware of that. However, as the report states, Council are going to commit to ongoing communication and engagement.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just on item 2, Council to continue engagement. I just wonder if you can give further explanation as to what the purpose of continuing engagement is.
Through the Mayor, thank you for the question. Now that the pool facility is under Council's care and control, there's a lot of community interest in the future of the aquatic facilities, not only in Port Fairy, but across Shire. So continuing to engage with community, be that around that facility or across the Shire, it's important to hear community's voice. Further, the Moyne Aquatic Facilities strategy will be a great way for community to have their say about what community want to see aquatic facilities right across Moyne.
Any other questions, councillors?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Lucas.
Reading the recommendation, part 1 reads that we've been in discussions with Belfast Aquatics. Part 2 says we're talking to this newly formed pool committee. Is that correct?
No, both recommendations 1 and 2 refer to meeting with community representatives, which in relation to and response to the petition tabled in December.
Right. So where are we in discussions with Belfast Aquatics?
Through the Mayor. So the lease overholding concluded January 16 and the facility is now in council's care and control.
Right, okay. And these this recommendation, part 1 and 2, is not with Belfast Aquatics original committee. This is with the newly formed one.
Through the Mayor. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Foster. Second the motion. Yes. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. First of all, I'd like to thank the petitioners for their efforts. Nobody goes to the trouble of putting a petition together unless they care very deeply. I also want to acknowledge as a councillor that there has been a vacuum of information, and I absolutely share the frustrations of our community and also share in the grief at the loss of such a much loved community asset. But I think it's really important that we note, Mayor, that up until January 16, we didn't own that facility, and it was not our place to be speaking on behalf of the Committee of Management that did own and operate it at the time. So I think the next agenda item on today's agenda might go some way to opening up a new conversation or a series of conversations around whatever comes next. So I'm looking forward to, if this motion is won today, I look forward to a new chapter of a much more open style of communication as we work hand in hand with our community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Second, all reserved my right. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? Councillor.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I suppose the thing that's concerning me most with the motion is the wording of continuing engagement. It seems that if it's a particular representative group, then it's a lobby group, and I'm not against engagement itself per se, but I am concerned about an implied promise when you say you're going to have continuing engagement. So just to review the situation we're in, council didn't close the facility, it was operating. It came at the end of a licence arrangement, and the facility had serious public health issues with significant investment required. So we now find ourselves responsible for a non-operational asset with substantial compliance and financial challenges, and that's a very different position from deciding whether to continue running a viable facility. So my concern with describing this continuing engagement without clear parameters is that it may give the impression that reopening or redeveloping the pool is an outcome council is actively working toward. And I don't believe that's the case, because we've got our aquatic strategy that we have to get through. Given the financial realities we face, that may not be the case. So I think we should absolutely communicate with the community, but we need to do so in a way that is honest about the constraints and does not unintentionally create expectations that council may not be able to fulfil. And because of those reasons, I'm speaking against this motion because of the lack of clarity on expectations of community engagement.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor, does anyone else wish to speak for it? Councillor Robb.
Yes, I'd like to speak against it too. We've got an aquatic strategy coming up, and I think it would be more appropriate to, even though I do respect the people of Port Fairy with their petition, I think it's very well run and good job, to push that communications probably through the aquatic strategy and councillors individually, rather than, because I'm not sure who the community representatives are who we're talking to, where all the community could go through the aquatic strategy and the consultants are spending a lot of money there. So that would be what I would like to see. So I'll be voting against.
Thank you. Councillor Ross. Does anyone else wish to speak for? Councillor Ryan, then Councillor Eggers. Councillor Ryan.
Through you, thank you, Mayor. I'm speaking for the motion today. I just want to acknowledge the petition and it formally. I want to acknowledge it formally, sorry, and note that the engagement with the community has occurred and will continue in any kind of capacity. It's important that we're clear and we communicate next steps whilst allowing the upcoming aquatic strategy to guide any future funding or investment decisions. I also want to note it is very hard being a community advocate. So I recognise and congratulate the community for doing this petition and other community-based initiatives that they are running behind the scenes. It's not an easy job, so I just want to thank them for this petition as a whole, but everything else that they're contributing towards this initiative too.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Dukas.
Thank you, Mayor. Does this community group have a name? Or a title, I should say? What do they call themselves?
Good question.
I believe it's the Save Our Pool group.
Save Our Pool. It talks about a petition titled Save Our Pool, all on council, etc. I just thought, you know, part 2 of the recommendation talks about engaging with this committee, and I don't know what they're called and I don't know who's on it. I would have thought council would be better off engaging with the community as a whole, because the whole issue, as highlighted earlier, there's a pool strategy coming, which includes all the pools in the Shire. Port Fairy Pool has been an expensive exercise in the last, say, 12 to 24 months. And it'd be nice if we could engage the whole community throughout the Shire, because that way everybody knows what's going on. Because to date, there's been different articles from different people and the Shire itself saying different things, and no one's quite clear on what's going on and how. So it'd be nice if we could just go out and talk to the community as a whole community and not just engage with one particular group.
Councillor, could I ask a clarifying question regarding that, because to Mr. Arnott?
You can.
I think it might help, but are we not doing that through our strategy and engaging with this group to answer Councillor Dukas's kind of?
And through the Mayor, just to clarify, the group name is Pool Community Group Port Fairy. And yes, that's correct. The purpose of the Moyne Aquatic Facilities strategy is to engage with all people within Moyne Shire around what aquatic facilities that currently are on offer and what that may look like in the future, and to hear from voices both within towns and without those facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Arnott, for clarifying. Thank you.
No, I'll leave it at that, because I'm sure that if there's a group formed that says no more pool for Port Fairy, that they would be given the same, I suppose, attention and credence as anybody else.
Thank you, Councillor Lucas. I move to second a bit reserve, right? This is me. I don't want to, as our councillors have mentioned, thank the community for their passion, for their energy. At times it's been challenging, but that is what we're here to do as elected representatives. And this is what the community are asking us to do, is to engage with them, which we are planning to do via our aquatic strategy. We'll also engage with the group. We engage with anyone that wants to speak and work with council. That's what we're elected to do. So I'm a bit unsure why there's some kind of talk against that. It's been, as I said, a really challenging few weeks. We've definitely heard loud and clear from the community what this asset and the importance of this asset in terms of for people's physical health, for their mental health, for learning to swim, for a gym, for connection and social connection. And as Councillor Foster said, the real sense of loss that the community has felt in that really difficult time that it's been, where we it hasn't been council's kind of asset until the 16th of January. So there's not a lot we have been able to say, but now we can. So really important that we keep up the engagement and also the transparency and the communication. As I said, we've heard lots of really strong, passionate stories. And I think that's what we're here to do, is to hear our community and to work with our community. So I really encourage other councillors to support this. This is, power to the people, and this is what this is listening to and responding to a petition. So I will now refer back to the movement to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess with respect to my fellow councillors, like you, Mayor, I'm a little bit perplexed as to why any of us would balk at engaging with any group. That's what we're required to do under the Act, irrespective of whether they're advocacy or lobby groups. They're part of our community. We engage with groups that advocate and lobby to us all the time. We need to hear all the voices. So I'm just a bit perplexed as to why there'd be any reticence to support a recommendation that says we'll meet with community representatives. I find that very odd. I think it's really important that we hear all of the voices, and that we, particularly because we haven't been able to speak or openly until recently, it's more important than ever that we engage with the community and hear all voices so that we can set ourselves up to make the best possible decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Now, those who wish to vote in favour of the motion. Councillor Ryan, Councillor Foster, and Councillor Lockett. I believe I have a casting vote. Oh, sorry, and well, yes. And then those who wish to vote against the motion, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Ross, Councillor Dukas. And then I'll use the casting vote to vote in favour of the motion. And the motion is carried. Yep. Thank you. We now move to item 2.2 on a very similar topic, Port Fairy Pool condition investigations and renewal asset, and Director of Assets and Community, Mr. Arnott, again, thank you.
The Port Fairy Pool facility is currently closed due to significant mould growth throughout the building, including within structural elements. Council is also aware of issues affecting structural elements, ageing plant, and potential defects in the pool shell. This report seeks council approval to commission a comprehensive technical investigation and costed condition assessment for the facility. The investigation and report would provide council with detailed understanding of the current condition of the facility, building on work undertaken in late 2025. It will also analyse maintenance and renewal costs required to bring the facility to working condition, and forecast costs which would be required should the facility be operated.
Thank you, Mr. Arnott. Questions, councillors? Councillor Dukas.
Thank you, Mayor. Part one of this recommendation talks about Port Fairy indoor pool building. I think that maybe we should drop the word building and replace it with facility, because to me the building is the building, not the pool. In the report or under discussion, it talks about assessment of the pool shell concourse related structures. But that to me isn't the building. The building is the bit standing over the pool, etc. So, I couldn't really vote for it the way it is, because if you employ doing the investigation for the pool building, you don't have to do the others. So I don't know what other councillors think, but if the building was replaced with facility, Port Fairy indoor pool facility, I would have thought that covers everything.
Okay.
So do we move an amendment to the motion? We can do that now, or do it after we move and second it?
I'll just ask for further questions and then we might come to that if that's okay.
Yep, no worries.
Get to the next part. Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Ross?
Yeah. Could you give us an idea of the $100,000, how that would be split and what you actually doing?
Yep, thank you for your question and through the Mayor. So importantly, it's up to $100,000 expenditure, but certainly not necessarily looking to spend all of that 100,000. As it's such a complex facility and requires multiple specialist disciplines, that includes structural, building, mechanical and aquatic engineering. So with those different elements and needing to have a really comprehensive understanding of both the current condition of the facility and also what the likely cost would be to renew and maintain that over the next 10 to 20 years, that speaks a little way, I guess, to some of the costs.
Yeah, so it's like roofing, purlins, beams, footings, plant room, pool shell, west wall. Would you envisage anything being in the pool facility that doesn't have to be inspected?
Through the Mayor, no, everything would require to be inspected and assessed for condition and then costs understood, be that they in good condition or in any other state.
Any other questions, Councillor Taylor?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Ms. Grant, I'm just interested to know what information we would obtain from this further assessment that, in a way, we don't already have. We've received an assessment that indicated a minimum amount that we would need to spend. So what would this assessment give us that would aid a decision that we don't already have?
Thank you for the question through the Mayor. So previous investigations addressed some specific issues with the pool facility. However, this investigation report is seeking to have a comprehensive investigation to give Council a picture of exactly what condition those elements are, including an expectation that there would be need for some destructive or invasive investigation methods and some lab testing to determine the state of some elements.
Any other questions, councillors?
Yeah, clarification, please. If this procurement to commission a comprehensive technical investigation, with the report we've already got, I believe it's now our leaked report on the condition of the pool, do we see this as a duplication or can we use what we've already found? Because, $100,000 is a lot of money. I'd hate to pay $10,000 for something that we've already done and know that it's good work.
Thank you for your question and through the Mayor. Absolutely, the work that's been done to date will provide the starting point and basis of that technical investigation and report and will inform both through procurement of a consultant and also inform the starting points for that investigation. So they'll be critical in the way this investigation is undertaken.
All right, thank you.
Got two questions. Just that many people in the community have been asking roughly how long, I'm not going to hold this book, but roughly how long do you think it would take to do the investigations and get the costings?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, thank you for your question. We would expect that it would be somewhere in the area of 3 months. So hoping to bring something back into councillors by May. That being requiring time for procurement of a consultant, giving that consultant time to commence work on that. The investigations required on site, any laboratory testing required, and then compiling a report along with detailed cost estimates.
Follow up if I can. Why does it cost so much? It's just difficult because, as Councillor Duca said, $100,000 sounds like a lot. No, the laboratory testing, can you elaborate a little bit more on that for myself and the community? Thank you.
Thank you, and through you again. Yes, because there are such varied disciplines required for the facility, from structural engineering through to looking at the plant that required to operate the facility, the shell itself. There's quite a bit of technical expertise required to undertake that work, and given we already know that there is mould within some structural elements, understanding and taking that away and testing some of those elements to see what that extent is, does require a site test.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Yep, councillor Ross.
Maybe just more, is the water in the pool, since the facility was closed, to your knowledge, has it been pumped out or is it just like evaporated or just leaked?
Through the Mayor, unsure of the means, but there is not a lot of water left in the bottom of the pool, so unsure at this time.
No further questions? Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation?
Well, I'll move it with
Yep.
an amendment, please. Mayor,
Yep. And do you want to take us through the amendment?
the amendment would be replacing the word building with facility.
So Dukas, and we had a bit of a tie with Councillor Ryan. So, like Councillor Foster. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, who seconded?
Sorry, we had a tie.
Oh,
Councillor Ryan. Councillor Ryan.
Thanks. Through you, Mayor. I'm happy to second that amendment, but I'll reserve my right. Thank you.
I'll read it out for the community. To Councillor Dukas, would you like to with your amendment?
you asked to read.
I can read it if you want.
Okay. Authorise the Chief Executive Officer or their delegate to procure and commission a comprehensive technical investigation and report for the Port of Port Fairy indoor pool facility as a matter of priority, and then there's part two.
But just to clarify, for the Port Fairy, you said Port of Port.
Oh, we do a report for them too. Yeah, that's right. The
Yeah.
Port Fairy indoor pool facility.
Correct, yeah. Right. Do we need to read section 2? No, that's fine. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Dukas. Councillor Dukas as the mover.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, it's been discussed quite comprehensively at workshop and this morning here and now. And all I can say is that at this very point in time, I'm not sure whether I'm going to support or not support it because of the $100,000 figure. But I think if the CEO can assure me that he will be diligent in his procurement of the required staff to undertake or the required professionals to undertake this investigation, I'll support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Dukas. And Councillor Ryan, you reserved your right. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Foster, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I am speaking in support of Councillor Dukas's motion. I think we owe it to our community to do this work. There are lots of questions swirling around, as we all know, and none of us know the answers to those questions just now. We don't know what the extent of the damage or the decline is. We don't know whether it's feasible to reopen the pool. We don't know if it just needs to be demolished. So we need to know all of this, and the only way we can do that is through hard data and technical information, and that's how we'll support good decision making. Otherwise, we risk making a decision that's based on our current feeling or the vibe or our current politics around it. So I think it's a very big and very important probably series of decisions ahead of us. And this will set us up to be able to make those decisions well and in a way that's transparent and in a way that's easily understood by our entire community.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to speak against the motion because what we do know is in our preamble to the 25-26 budget, it stated that Moyne Shire Council's 25-26 budget shows it is in a solid financial position. However, the council faces headwinds in the coming year. it showed an operating surplus of 0.8 million and an underlying surplus of 1.34. We also know that an estimated recurrent operating cost of the pool is at least 1.2 million. We also know that the cost of gas is increasing. We know that we would have maintenance over the coming years if a new pool was rebuilt. And we know that at minimum it would cost 2 million to rebuild, so it would require borrowings. And Moynshire costs will also most likely continue to increase in the areas of employee costs, insurances, materials, power, etc. So that's my second reason. I think we have enough information to say we can make an assessment on whether we can operate a pool without actually having to discover whether to do an assessment on the condition of the pool. And furthermore, we have the aquatic strategy, which will look at the whole of Shire and what our pool facilities could be. So I don't think that at this point in time, assessing this particular facility in more detail aids or adds more information to our bigger picture decision making.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Ross.
I'll have to speak against the motion. We've been to workshop, we've seen the reports, we've seen the pictures, been down there and looked at the pool. I'm definitely not anti-Port Fairy and I'm definitely not anti-pools. I love pools. But that building is just, it's done. The girts are done, the purlins pretty much all rotted out from the few sheets of tin they've taken off. They're done. The structural beams probably had it, not probably, they're laminated beams. There'll be definitely issues with them, every one. The west wall, it looks like a banana. And then you've got the plant room, the pool shell. It's, no water left in it. There's enough in my mind to say that building is not worth spending $100,000 of hard-earned ratepayers' money from the whole Shire. With what I know, I just can't support that. And I cannot envisage a pig dipped in lipstick or Frankenstein when everybody loves a new baby. So I'm voting against it. It's just pretty emotional. More wasted taxpayers' money or ratepayers' money, and something I know that it's going to come back well north of $2 million when we should be get rid of it and move forward with a brand new facility. I'd be happy to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. I will be speaking in favour of the motion based on three points. We need to know if it can be repaired. There's concerns around the cost of that, but we need to know, we owe it to the community to know if it can be repaired. We need to know how much that is. What are those costs? Is it impossible? We need to know how much those costs are. Again, we owe it to the community. 3, then we work out, to Councillor Taylor's point, where that money comes from. We need to work strongly with the community. We always need to work strongly with the community. Can they, help us get that money? As Councillor Taylor said, we haven't budgeted for this, but we need to work out then where we can get the money from. One, if it's repairable. So, that's all this motion does, is it gives us the data, as Councillor Foster said, to know if it's repairable. I'll now move to Councillor Ryan, who reserved their right. Seconder. Thank you.
Thanks. Through you, Mayor. Councillors are here to represent our community, and to date we have heard loud and clear that they want transparency and details. We haven't been able to offer this to the level that they expect, as it hasn't been our facility to comment on, but now we can. And we know that it's harder to build new assets than it is to fix existing ones. So this item is about getting the facts, a comprehensive independent assessment, which is necessary to properly understand safety, compliance, risk and future costs before council considers any long-term options. This is a responsible and evidence-based step. And I don't need the CEO's assurance, because I have full faith in our staff and that they can undertake this process and engage professionals to complete these assessments correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. I'll now ask the mover, councillor Lucas, to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor. I've heard from councillor Taylor and councillor Ross, and I must agree with them in what they've said. But every now and again, there's a however. And with a project that's going to cost this much money, whether just in pulling it down is going to cost a lot of money, if that's what we do. If we build another one, that's going to cost money. In there somewhere will be the government, and the government being the government, they'll want every fancy report going before they'll even think of looking at donating, granting, etc., etc. So although my fellow colleagues are correct in what they're saying, under the rules and regulations of local government and trying to get a dollar out of state and feds, we need this report. I'm just, and I'm sure that our CEO will keep a tight eye on the finances. And once this report comes in, then we can hold that up and say this is an official Shire report done the right way for the right reasons. And whichever way we go forward, we can hang our head on that report. So reluctantly, I will support it. Well, I shouldn't say reluctantly. I will support it because my hands are tied.
Thank you, councillor Lucas. Now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion. Councillor Dukas, councillor Ryan, councillor Foster, and councillor Rocket. Votes against the motion, councillor Taylor and councillor Ross. The motion is carried 4-2. Thank you, councillors. Well, now just councillor Murray here to come back into the room. Thank you. Stand by for a brief moment. See that? Just video.
Get to a good legend.
Back to the chamber, councillor Murray. We now move on to item 2.3. Fitness equipment. Director of Assets and Community, Mr. Arnott. Thank you.
Through you. The Macarthur Advancement and Development Association has worked with community, philanthropic organisations and other funding sources to raise the capital costs to install fitness and exercise equipment at the Macarthur Market Street precinct. This project has strong alignment with Council's strategic priorities for active communities and improved recreational infrastructure. This report provides Council with the background to a request received from the Macarthur Advancement and Development Association for Council to assume responsibility for ongoing maintenance and renewal for outdoor fitness equipment in the Market Street precinct. Thank you.
Questions, councillors? Questions? Does anyone?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mayor. I'm just thinking whether I should. It says in part 2 that we're going to allocate. Is that normal to allocate ongoing estimated costs?
Through the Mayor. I think endorsing and allocating that budget in future years will be important as part of the adopted budget process.
So going forward, are we going to do that with all our playgrounds and all our exercise equipment? And, or every asset we got, we're going to allocate a certain budget amount to each item? Because we haven't in the past.
Through the Mayor, so that additional expenditure or estimate of expenditure of $953 would be looked at in the budget process as an increase to our playgrounds and fitness equipment maintenance budget rather than an individual line item.
So you're going to add that amount to the bucket of money?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? To clarify, does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation, councillor Murray, and a seconder, councillor Ross? Councillor Murray is the mover.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I just wanted to congratulate MADA as a MADA, as a committee, for the public's information. This was brought as a budget bid that wasn't successful at council. So I just really want to congratulate them for chasing down some additional funding, for looking into ways of how they could secure this for their community. And it's a really great outcome. So I'm really happy to support this for the McCarthy community.
Thank you. And Councillor Ross.
You're saying that Matter have done a really good job on pushing that project through, and also our council staff on the recommendations. Happy to see that. I just like to see the community use the equipment. That's my biggest concern. It's just going to sit there. Happy to support it otherwise.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? And as the mover to sum up, Councillor Murray, no further need. I will now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion is 7-0. Very unanimous. Now move to I. Motion carried. Item 2.4 petition request to fix the Street Director of Corporate and Governance and so on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, this report relates to the receipt of a petition from residents and users of Ritchie Street in Port Fairy. They're requesting the resurfacing of those works. This report recommends that council receives this petition in accordance with our government.
Any questions, councillors? We're getting good at receiving petitions. Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Foster and seconded Councillor Murray. Move that, councillor. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Very little that I really could say at this point. Just happy to receive it and acknowledge that we have received it, and we'll look forward to a future report in relation to this one. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. As a seconder, Councillor Murray.
Through you, summed up perfectly by Councillor Foster. We will await a future report on this one.
Absolutely. Thank you. Councillor Murray, does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion?
Nothing further. Thanks, Mayor.
I will now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion? Item 2.5, Customer Commitment, Director of Corporate and Governance, Ms. Robertson. Again, thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, this report seeks council approval to adopt the new customer commitment, which replaces the existing customer service commitment and follows a period of community consultation. The existing commitment was last reviewed in 2022, so this newer version is more accessible and customer focused.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? No questions? Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Foster. And thank you, Councillor Ryan. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Foster as the mover.
Thanks, Mayor. One of the things I like about this document is that it not only sets standards, but it also sets some boundaries. Of course, we should talk about the standards of behaviour that our community should expect from us and the experience that they should expect. But it's also good that we acknowledge that we need to take care of our staff as well, and that we have boundaries around what is not tolerable behaviour. So that's great. I also really like that it talks about empathy and kindness. The world needs a lot more of that these days. And also, I think it speaks to the fact that we're talking about people. We're not talking about robots or AI. We're not talking about machines. In our always on culture, we can sometimes expect that things will happen the moment we want them to happen. And this document sets out some more realistic expectations that our community can look to when they want to deal with us. And why, perhaps. So I think our staff are human beings dealing with very big workloads, and this document explains to our customers and ratepayers in pretty clear terms what they can expect. And hopefully 100% of the time, that's a very positive experience for them.
Thank you, councillor Foster. Councillor Ryan as the seconder.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Document refreshes may seem quite operational and tick and flick, but this updated customer commitment provides clear expectations for both the community and our staff, and it improves accessibility and reinforces respectful interactions, which is only a good thing when we are a big service provider within the region. So I'm happy to support this motion.
Thank you, councillor Ryan. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Murray.
Through you, I'll speak for the motion. This is a really important document, and something that I think is really important for our community is that we had 4 responses back to the survey on this one, and it's really, really important that our community respond to these surveys and give your feedback. So we can only work with what we're given. The other thing that I'm really, really excited about with this one is the commitment to using straightforward language, plain, simple language, not government politicians speak that's really convoluted and confusing, just real person speak, I guess. So that I'm really happy to see that. I think it makes everything more transparent and just clearer and better communications. I'm happy to support this one.
Absolutely. Thank you, councillor Murray. Any other councillor wish to speak for or against?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm definitely going to speak for it, but it's more of a statement because to me it's front of counter staff, but we also have staff who work on the roads and our stop go bys and facility. There's no point walking into the office and going crook at the staff. They've got a job to do. They do a good job. If you have an issue that you want to vent or relieve a bit of pressure from yourself by cutting loose, ring your councillor. That's what we're here for. Don't take it out on the staff because sometimes they're reluctant to pass it on. They get caught between a rock and a hard place. If you have a real issue that you just got to get off your chest, ring your councillor, whoever that may be, talk to them, and we'll go forward that way. And then the staff don't have to put up with all the bullshit that goes on from time to time.
Lucas, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? I'll speak for the motion and just say that I think this really sets about the ethos that council is the wind in the community sails rather than the outcome. I think that's really important. It's about doing with, not doing to, and it's how we communicate that is super important. To the mover, Councillor Foster, to some thinking.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's just all about RESPECT. So nothing further to add.
Without further ado, in the words of Aretha Franklin, fantastic. I will now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour of the motion. The motion is carried. Yeah, we now move on to item 2.6, Rail Freight Alliance Sunshine Regional Link Crossover Advocacy. Director of Assets and Community, Mr. Thank you very much.
Yeah, through you. Council is a member of the Rail Freight Alliance. The Sunshine Super Hub development includes the proposed removal of 2 Sunshine Regional Rail Link crossovers, which will have a detrimental impact on freight in Victoria, including the Warrnambool line. The service utilises the Werribee line and should the crossovers be removed, and therefore diverting additional freight via this line, the outcome will be increased congestion and a reduction in potential pathways as freight and passenger services increase. The Rail Freight Alliance are seeking support for advocacy to retain the 2 crossovers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnott. Any questions, councillors? No questions. Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Taylor. And the seconder? Councillor Murray. Councillor Taylor is the mover.
Oh, thank you. I guess just to note that being able to move freight efficiently and economically is very important for continued opportunities for development and growth. And furthermore, for reducing that reliance on road freight, because the more we just get more and more congested, and so I think that we need to try to retain those crossovers.
Thank you, councillor Taylor. As a seconder, I invite councillor Murray to speak.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Similar to councillor Taylor's point, it's crucial that we have a really good rail freight system. It's something that I will admit I'm not totally book smart on, but I do understand that if the rail freight system goes down, that puts more freight into trucks, which puts more trucks on the road, which has more damage to the road. It seems a very pretty straightforward thing to me that we need to have a really good, we need to be, I guess, enhancing our rail freight system, not moving it away. And we already know the issues that our Warrnambool line faces. We don't want to have more impediments to that. So I'm happy to support this recommendation and hope it helps.
Thank you, councillor Murray. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Dukas.
Thank you. Now I'll definitely speak forward, because I just can't understand the state government with respect to this. If you read the report, it's 47 kilometres extra. It'll congest with and interfere with the Warrnambool line, passenger line. It'll put more trucks on the road. Now, the state government rants and raves about climate change. You know, if this goes through, the train won't go, the goods train won't use the line, because no one's going to put any goods on the line. It'll all go to trucks. And then people in Warrnambool will say, well, I'm sick of sitting on the train for 4 hours, sometimes 5 and 6. I'll get in a car. So, you know, to me, this is 99% negative. And if the government doesn't get our letter and letter from everyone else and actually read it and use some common sense, and I don't know where we're going as a state, because it just defies logic.
Thank you, councillor Dukas. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Ross.
Yeah, I'd like to speak for the motion. I can see the pressures in Sunshine though, with the redevelopment and heading towards Tullamarine and what we've got to do, but that's not the point. The point is they should be putting more investment into moving crossovers further out, or upgrading facilities further out of the city towards Werribee, maybe Ballarat. So that's why I'll be supporting.
Thank you, councillor Ross. No further. Councillor wish to speak for or against? Now invite councillor Taylor.
There's nothing more to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour? Motion is carried 7-0. Thank you. Now move on to item 2.7, Audit and Risk Committee Biannual Report. Director of Corporate and Governance, Ms. Robertson. Thank you.
Thank you. So this item presents council with the biannual report of the Audit and Risk Committee. It outlines activities from June to November 2025, along with the committee's approved minutes.
Any questions, councillors? No questions. Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Yes, councillor Foster. Thank you. And a seconder, councillor Murray. Thank you. Councillor Foster as the mover.
Thanks, Mayor. As the outgoing councillor, one of the outgoing council representatives on our Audit Risk Committee, I just would like to acknowledge the input of our independent members. We've got some excellent independent members in John Duffield, Bonnie Holmes and Andrew Prosser. They're very committed, very thorough, and take their roles very seriously. So I'd like to acknowledge them and commend this report, which is great. If anyone is interested in understanding what audit risk committees do, and the breadth of information they have to be for us, it's a very good thing to have a look at those minutes.
Thank you, councillor Foster. As a seconder, invite councillor Murray to speak.
No.
Further, does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion?
Mayor, I've got a few little questions, but I've got quite a few of them, and after speaking with our director of the money, all things to do with money, we'll go through them later. which would be much better. It's too much to ask here.
Yeah. Do you wish to speak for or against the motion, councillor Lucas?
So, I think the motion's a good one. We've got a good committee, as highlighted by councillor Foster. And when you're on a good thing, come on, when you're on a good thing, stick to it. Oh, am I the only old person here?
Thank you, councillor Lucas. And councillor Foster as the mover to sum up. Thank you.
No need.
No need. Thank you. I will now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour of the motion? The motion is carried. So, item 2.8, monthly finance report. Sorry, Director of Corporate Governance and Policy and report. Thank you.
Thank you. This report provides council with an update on the organisation's financial performance and position as at 31st December 2025, and it forms part of council's regular financial oversight.
So any questions, councillors? Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms Robertson, a question in relation to the table on page 99 of 152. Got two questions there. One of them, the cash and investments in the year-to-date figures almost double what we budgeted for. I wondered if you have an explanation for that, please.
Through you, Mayor. Sure, thank you. Yeah, that relates back to some state funding that was received earlier than anticipated, and we are now just seeing that reflected in the cash flow.
So that's a timing issue. Thank you. And Mayor, if I may
Yes.
follow up, also on that same table, Mr. Robinson, I note too that our capital expenditure year to date is sitting pretty low. I think it refers elsewhere in the report to around 28% at the halfway point of the year. Do you feel confident that we're going to get through our capital works program by year end?
Thank you for your question. Through you, Mayor. That figure is fairly close to this time last year. It was a little higher this time last year, 32%. And we reached by year end, we completed up to 92%. So I'm pretty confident that we will get to the same level, if not hopefully better, by the end of this year. We do have quite a volume of projects that are underway currently with sort of final dates closer to June. So a bit of work to be done.
Any further questions, councillors?
Thank you. So I was just wanting to seek clarification on some of the figures and comments in the table on page 105. Under cost centre finance and property, the comment in the comment column says unbudgeted income from the state government for the primary producer support admin. And I was interested to know, do we have to report to the state government on how it was used? And also, if we have not spent all that money on that admin, do we have to return any of those funds? And do we know whether our costs were to the amount granted or above or below that? Through you, Mayor. That state government money has been provided to support with the primary producer work. There's no, my understanding is there's no reporting requirements, but we have looked at that money and have budgeted accordingly, so we won't overspend, but we do anticipate spending that for. Thank you. Anyone else can follow up?
Yes.
The roads and streets line has a note that it's ahead of schedule and also includes emergency service response works that were unbudgeted. So I noted that the amount 911,409 is the expense variance there, and I wondered how much of that amount was the unbudgeted emergency response and what that emergency response was. Mayor, the emergency response funding was about approximately 160,000. That was in response to the storm event earlier this year. We do have a DRA application in to recoup those costs. We are hoping that we might recoup 130,000 of those costs. And the additional difference is just due to timing of works with the outdoor team. Great, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Dugas?
Thank you. Mr. Robinson, on page 97, under outstanding rates, overdue debtors, etc.
Yes.
If you look at debt collection from 24 to 25, November, December 25 is not much different. It's gone from 479 up to 1 million, just over a million. If you go down to no arrangement, in 24 there was 605,000, yet in November 25 there was 55, and that's dropped to 45. Have those people with no arrangements been handed over to the debt collectors? Is that the difference in the figures?
Through you, Mayor, yes, we've put some really robust processes in place there to have a look at those debts in arrears and try to ensure council's in a position in recouping some of those costs.
So to follow up, before we do something drastic like calling the debt collectors, we talk to these people that owe the money, etc., and maybe try and get on some arrangement payment. We don't just say, bugger you in the hands of the debt collector.
Through you, Mayor, no, we go through a robust process. We absolutely contact people and try to work out an arrangement that works for them. As a council, we understand that times are tough for some people and people need a bit of extra support. So that is our aim, to support people. Unfortunately, there are times when it needs to go down to debt collection, but we do that reluctantly.
Righto, thank you very much.
Any other questions, councillors? Now, does anyone wish to read the officer recommendation, the financial report? Councillor Ryan. And a seconder, Councillor Murray. Councillor Ryan as the mover.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Not much to say. The report indicates that we're in a pretty decent financial position with no immediate red flags, so more than happy to move this report. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. As the seconder, Councillor Murray. Nothing further. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the report? So, as the mover, Councillor Ryan.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Further, I'll now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour of the motion? The motion is carried. Item 2.9, Councillor Events, Director of Corporate and Governance, Ms. Robertson, to introduce them.
Thank you, councillors. This report provides a schedule of the events for attendance by councillors for the month of February, just to be tabled and any questions. Thanks.
Any questions, councillors? No questions. Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Murray and a seconder, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Murray as the mover.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, this is quite a procedural one that we need to do, and it's good for the community to see what we've been up to and what we're getting up to. So we move this on.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Ryan as the seconder.
Nothing further. Thank you, ma'am. Councillor Murray summed it up very well.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? As the mover to sum up the finalised, thank you.
That's
Nothing
further.
further. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour? Motion is carried. Item 3.1 is Mayor and Councillor activities. Any questions or commentary around those at all? Item 3.2 is councillor notice of motion, which there are none. Item 3.3, do we have any general matters? Councillor Murray.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention a couple of events we've had just in the last few days. The first being on Sunday. We had a reflective healing ceremony in Port Fairy near Nauru of Telkina. It was really beautiful. It was a really gentle, lovely. I can't tell you the amount of people that have come up to me that have said it was such a lovely feeling. It was really positive. It was hopeful. And I'm just really grateful to the council staff. I know how much time and effort goes in behind the scenes to make an event run so seamlessly. So grateful to them and grateful to all of our speakers, all of our Indigenous community for sharing culture and time and knowledge. And yeah, a really, really lovely event. Yesterday, a number of us attended the Panmure Community Hall where we got to welcome 16 new citizens to the country of Australia, which is always incredible. One of them being one of my very good friends. There was also a proposal, which I think there were about 200 people in the hall and not a dry eye in the house. So it was really, again, lovely. And we had our community awards. So Edie Gleeson and Lockie Payne, our Young Citizens of the Year, 2 incredible people doing really incredible things for our community, amazing volunteers. They're just gold star standard of amazing youths. Our Port Fairy Literary Festival, which won our event of the year, and to Ian Walls, who was our Citizen of the Year. And his speech was so heartfelt, so beautiful, and it was just a really, really lovely day, good vibes all around. And finally, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Councillor Karen Foster. Councillor Foster has been appointed as the chair of the Australian Coastals Council Association. So it's a significant national leadership role representing coastal communities right across Australia. Nationally, that's major. And it's an absolute credit to you. And we're so lucky here in Moyne that we have that level of representation on a national stage. So congratulations, it's amazing. And I can't wait to see you thrive in the role. Thanks. All right, that's all from me.
Well said, Councillor Murray. Well said, I agree. Does anyone else have any general matters they wish to raise? Councillor Ryan, thank you. And then Councillor Ross.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I'd just like to recognise the council staff who are working in today's incredible heat. Your commitment and professionalism in delivering essential services doesn't go unnoticed, and thank you very much for your efforts in keeping our community safe. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our local CFA crews within Moyne Shire who've left the safety of their own towns to be deployed as part of strike teams supporting other regions facing significant fire danger. I also want to recognise the CFA captains for coordinating complex logistics and personnel arrangements. We're so grateful for your professionalism and commitment in keeping communities safe beyond our shire. So thank you very much for your ongoing work on a volunteer basis. It's not said enough, so thank you.
Very well said, Councillor Ryan. Couldn't agree more. We all agree with those words. I can speak on behalf of us all there, I think, and really agree with you there. Absolutely. Councillor Ross.
Just a shout out to the Macarthur Swimming Pool and the committee and the cook. The cooked about 1,000 pancakes.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, pancake cook, councillor. It's doing a fantastic job. They're kicking goals, and it's a pleasure to go there and watch all the families having such a great time. To me rules.
Good to hear. Councillor Dukas.
Thank you. Roy Truck Show, again a success. Orford Vintage Rally, again another success. So the rural communities of Moyne Shire are pretty successful, I think. And one other thing, wasn't a truck show or a vintage rally. It was the accident at George Taylor's Corner. I think, we've spoken to Rural Roads Victoria now, is that the call? Etc. Written letters. Maybe it's time we invite a couple of our local MPs into a workshop so we can put them under the pump, because something has to be done. it's becoming a regular event. And next to the George Taylor's, next I'll have a sightseeing platform that's going to be that regular. And for the people who live there, it's not very exciting at all. Because as soon as they hear bang, they don't know where the car's going to end up. As one accident occurred, not that, or the second last one, and the car ended up in George Taylor's. So something needs to be done. I know that Victoria doesn't really worry about rural Victoria, or the state government doesn't, but we need to get our politicians in and put them under the hammer, because it's just not good enough.
Yeah, Councillor Dukas, I agree with what everything everyone has said in general matters. A lot of great events across our shire and a lot of interesting things. I think I also attended the truck show, the Crawley Truck Show, and a shout out to Cornwall Transport for the best rig. They won the best rig, but it was one of the interesting things. I chatted to Kermie, who's a bit of a trucking guru in the trucking fraternity. And he told me that the Koroy Truck Show give more back to the trucking fraternity than any other truck festival in Australia. He said the amount of support that they give back to the trucking fraternity, tricky to say, is amazing. He said it's second to none. It's like one of the biggest, best shows in Australia in terms of truck shows. So yeah, big shout out to the committee and the great work they do. No further general matters. One more.
Very sorry.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
It's remiss of me. Just wanted to put a call out there that our Moynshire community groups can now be added as a listing on our new online community directory. How is the best way for them to do that? I would like to ask our comms.
Go to the homepage on our website.
Very professional of me, but it's really, really important. So homepage of the Moynshire Council website, you can follow the links, and community groups can be listed on this directory. It's a really good way to be noticed, and I think it's something we should really plug.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Item 3.4 is urgent business. We have no urgent business. Item 4.0, CEO meeting schedule and activities report. Mr. Everside, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Matt. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update. I'll start with our roads program. So there's sort of three key elements we look at there. So we've got our resealing works, our rehabilitation work, and our resheeting work of our unmade roads. So this year we're completing 94 kilometres of resealing, 22 kilometres of rehabilitation work. That's up 10 kilometres on last year. So that's more than double the amount of work we'll be doing this year on road rehabilitation. And the resheeting work, 46 kilometres, is up from 25 kilometres last year. So resealing went really well last year with good conditions. We exceeded our target last year. Our target is 94 kilometres this year, so we'll see how we go with the remainder of the year. But I think it really demonstrates the additional, in terms of kilometres being covered in our road works. Moyne is significantly doing more than we did last year, and that resealing work is quite weather dependent, so we'll see how we go. But certainly 94 kilometres is going to cover a lot of ground, but that's an ongoing program that's required, obviously, from each year, from one to the next. Just some of those roads to look out for that we will be working on now or very soon. Childers Cove Road, Hopkins Fall Road, Boggy Creek Road. You'll also see us out at the Hopkins Fall Road near Wangroom Road to the Allensford Wangroom Road, Hughes Road, Markswell Road, and the Darlington Terang Road. So you might see our crews out working in particular on those areas. Also, our roadside slashing continues. So really different season this year. If everyone remembers the rain that kept going fairly late towards Christmas, and then obviously it's turned quite significantly now since the new year. So we did keep additional crews on over Christmas and New Year, which we wouldn't normally do, to try and get on top of what we were facing there. And our township fire management slashing is nearing completion. Obviously, times like this week, that is really critical works. On to early years. So a couple of things to highlight there. Our enrolments at this point in time are up 17% within Moyne run facilities year on year. And then if we add Garvock, which opened up early in 2025, that's another 32 enrolments on top of that. So it's about another 30% enrolments for the Shire. So in addition to that, our enrolments, our unplanned closures of our facilities, that was a real target of our continuous improvement this year, and I'm pleased to report that is down 29% year on year. So they're those calls that parents get to say, unfortunately, for various reasons, the service for your children is not available today. The extent of that is down 29% year on year. So real shout out to our teams that have made that happen. A lot of unforeseeable things you need to manage there, but also good processes and training plays a really important role there as well. So good to see significant gains in both roads and early years as we sort of look at the end of 2025 and now start the new year 2026. Key capital projects at the moment, we've got the Croydon Township Renewal Project, High Street drainage works completed, and Commercial Road, the works there will resume in February. So we're only days away from continuing that really exciting project for us. We are just now waiting on Ocean Drive in Port Fairy, the final phase of the Cultural Heritage Permit application to complete the works there. So we hope to be only a short period away from resolving our works out there, and we'll keep the community informed as we know more. Some of the asset renewal work that's really important to us right across the Shire, footpath works happening in Sackville Street, Port Fairy, and some tenders in process for Dunlop Street, Mortlake, and other roads around the Shire. Also, you'll see some of our teams working at Gardens Reserve Grandstand in Port Fairy, some upgrades occurring with a project there, and a shade sail going into that Garvock Community Hub where the early years facility is really important for the children out there, along with that Nullawarre. So important upgrades to our early years asset facilities. Gibbs Street Bridge update for the community. We do have tenders out at the moment and a couple of on-site meetings for companies interested in that project. So that's underway at the moment, and we're expecting to see, well, we will see that tender process close on the 9th of February. We'll keep the community up to date as that moves forward from there. Just some of the upcoming events to keep an eye out for. So we've got in Port Fairy in February, you've got the Sheepdog Trials, the Commonwealth Sheepdog Trials, Jazz Festival, the Marathon, of course, coming up, and the Community Running Festival. Broad Field Day and Show is on the 20th and 21st of February as well. Really big time of year being the summer for caravan parks and folks like our Visitor Information Centre, our local laws team, and others that are out and about supporting our community over the summer. We're seeing really good solid numbers this year. We'll see final tallies as January closes out, but really happy to see lots of folks visiting Moyne Shire again this year. And that's obviously really important to our economy and engagements that happen right across the community. And I'd just like to thank the team for all their hard work throughout 2025 and particularly over the Christmas and New Year period. And to finish off, just to announce within our executive leadership team at Moyne Shire Council, Simone Robinson, who has been in an acting director role almost all of 2025, has now stepped into the Director of Corporate and Governance Services. So congratulations to you, Simone. And also Liam Arnott has been appointed Director of Assets and Community. So Liam's been with us today. So congratulations to Liam. And then, of course, Jodie McNamara as our Director of Environment, Economy and Place. And with myself make up the executive leadership team. So we'll do some communication about those changes shortly. So that's the update. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions, Councillor Murray?
Thank you. Through you, not really a question, but just something that I thought was totally phenomenal. It states in here that our visitor information centre in Port Fairy assisted 7,634 people in 25 days, being from the 26th of December to the 20th of January. I did some math. That's an average of 305 people a day through the visitor information centre. So it just goes to show how much our visitors to the region rely on that centre. And a vast majority of people in our visitor information centre are volunteers. So I'm so grateful to those people. It makes such a huge difference to the tourists coming into our town where they can have somewhere to go and be guided and treated. It's such a vibe in there. They're all so lovely and willing to assist. And so, yeah, they're big numbers. So thank you for them.
Thank you. Through me, if I could just add to that, thank you, Councillor Murray, for the call out there. I think, we've got a wonderful team there at the VIC, often with buses and so forth. It's one of the first places a lot of tourists will go. We have an enormous volunteer team as well that take a lot of tours and support that centre. Without them, there's no way we could handle anywhere near that volume of traffic. So not only to our staff, but also to those volunteers that help us with the VIC. Big shout out to them as well. Yep.
Other questions? Let's see, councillors. Councillor Douglas.
Righto, relax, pull up a cup of tea and a biscuit. Car parking changes, Princess Street, Port Fairy. Can you tell me what the changes are? Anybody?
Through Mayor, Ms. McNamara, would you like to take that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Through Mayor, thanks, Councillor Dukas. I'm imagining it's the two spaces in the car park opposite the council offices. We organised for two spaces to be short-term in nature, so they've been signed accordingly, and that was to help manage the users of the laneway and the businesses that back on to the laneway, so they've got parking available for people.
Right.
It was negotiated between the parties.
Okay, thank you. Right, no. So,
Any other questions?
yeah, I've got a few here. Now, under the heading open space, it reads extra slashing of spray roads due to exceptional seasonal growth. Well, if you're spraying it, why is it growing? Take that on notice. That's all right. We're getting towards the end of the day. And under plant, we're looking at buying a jet patcher. Now, they're the ones that got what we call the elephant truck. How many of those do we have?
Through the Mayor. We've got 3 jet patches and 1 float on road maintenance.
Right. Now, can we have at some point in the future, in the near future, maybe some discussion on jet patches and those float-on units? See which is the most practical, please. I won't get into details.
Through you, Mayor, can I suggest that that's taken offline, because I'm not sure every councillor would need that information. If you have a vested interest in that, Jim, maybe that can be an offline conversation.
It could be, but I think all councillors should be involved because it's all about what value for money. But anyway, that's up to the councillors. Whalers Drive relining is really about painting the lines, or is that
Just
is that drainage?
that on page 1.
There's, oh, sorry,
Yes.
page.
27.
I've got 12, I think, here. Doesn't matter.
Yes, it is pipe relining, so that's
Right.
that's a renewal of our drainage assets in Whalers Drive.
Okay, now you would be familiar with Tyrone Lane and those senior into space dips. When can we see something done about having those repaired? Because, you know, I was at Orford at the rally and that was a very popular road. And I'll tell you, I know there's signage, but not everybody believes the signs. And really, it's not hard to get airborne. So, is there any idea when that can be done?
Councillor Dukes, can we take these offline? I think these
No, but
questions.
I know we can, but
If we had have asked them in at the agenda briefing, we'd probably have.
No, but there are people out there who keep coming to, especially at Orford, is that it's been there for years. When are you going to do something about it? So it's not about me asking this, it's just in the community. Now they know that I've asked the question and we'll get an answer. If you want to tell me in, at the workshop or something, that's all right. I can convey it back. But as you know, it's a hairy bit of road if you don't slow down.
Through the Mayor, happy to speak to that one. Yes, that section of road is known to council and is currently under design as part of our road rehabilitation program for this. So expecting that to be renewed this year.
All right, thank you. And as discussed at workshop about the tiny towns funding, I'm going to ask our CEO that next time when that funding is announced, can we be told as councillors so we can talk to our communities about what projects they might like to be submitted to that project? Because it came to us with a list, and when the community found out about it, said, well, what about this project and what about that project? So maybe next time, or it's not too late if you've got other projects to be submitted, but if we can get the heads up the day it's announced, maybe our community can get back to us and have projects that maybe the officers don't realise are a project.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Lucas.
Oh, one more.
One more.
And I'll ask that. Port Ferry Office Accessible Toilet Renewal. Take that on notice because I thought it was in good condition. Unless you're going to do something funny with it that we don't know about. Thank you.
Any questions from Mr. Everstone, councillors? Got one, just regarding support for our neighbours during fire time. Spoke about briefly before, just obviously Corangamite, Colac Ways, been a pretty extensive fire season. Just wonder if you can speak about the communication for them about offering support.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor. So, so we have seen over the years councils support one another during major events like fires and floods. So, in this instance, with the current and recent fires, in my role as CEO, I reach out to my counterparts in our neighbouring shires and have done so. So those offers of support are there. They may need access to some of our assets like graders and so forth. They may need support around clean-up effort or with managing things like their emergency relief centres. They can have livestock. Obviously, they've got people, a lot of resources to run those facilities around the clock at short notice. So those offers have certainly been made now and have been made and utilised in the past. So we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Mr. Everstone. That brings us to we have no further business. Brings us to the end of our meeting. We'll just in summary thank councillors, thank you staff, and please to our community, please stay safe out there. The temperature's just hit 44 in Mortlake. I think it's just starting to come down. It's down to 43.7, I think now. Please stay safe out there. The fire season is long from over. And we're thinking, as Councillor Ryan said earlier today, about CFA and our volunteers and our neighbours that are in a really tricky situation. Our thoughts and are with them. So we really thinking of everyone at the moment through this difficult time. So please stay safe and checking on each other. And thank you for listening for today's council meeting. Thank you.